Welcome to another episode of Systematic Geekology. This is a space where we seek to create and cultivate healthy conversations between those things we geek out on and the philosophical and theological questions that often arise out of our fandoms. Like, what does it mean to be human? What makes a hero? What makes a villain? How do the stories and narratives we geek out on shape how we live in the world? We are your priest to the geeks. We aren't all ordained, but we see ourselves as mediators at the intersection of geek culture and going deeper in our faith. We don't always have to agree, but we do respect each other, and we see everyone as a beloved child of God. Everyone geeks out on something, so come geek out with us and enjoy the show.
You're listening to an Anazao Ministries podcast.
If you're looking back all the time, you'll never get ahead. And that's exactly how I feel in this episode right now. Wasn't prepared to go live, but here we are. We are Systematic Geekology, and this is our What's New episode of the week, where we talk about what's new in geek culture. I can't wait to hear what you guys are listening to and watching, because I need help in this segment. Once again, this is Systematic Geekology. My name is Elizabeth Clyde, and I am here with Andy Walsh. How are you doing today, Andy?
I'm doing well today. Thanks, Liz. How are you?
I'm a little tired. My hour drive home was like an hour and a half drive, and that 30 minutes really does make a difference in your
huge
afternoon commute. So, and you know, people, traffic, fun. But I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to find out what you are geeking out on. If you are watching live, make sure you tell us in the comments what you are geeking out on, what we should be watching. Also, big shout out to our supporter, Justin Vaughn. Thank you so much for being a Patreon and supporting the show. I'm going to be talking about the one, the only anime in this What's New episode. If you did not recognize that quote, it is from Fairy Tale, from the beloved Naked Man, Grey Full Bustard. If you don't know, now you know. Everyone's going to be running for Fairy Tale. It's not that kind of anime, guys. I promise. But whatever your platform you're listening on, please rate and review the show and let us know what you think. If you hate me, I would love to know. I feed off of negativity, so please, please let me know. So, Andy, as we are getting into our episode, just tell me, topic-wise, what are you talking about in this episode?
So last week I checked out the first episodes of Agatha All Along and The Penguin, the new kind of comic book TV shows on Disney Plus and Max or whatever. And then there was a movie called Rebel Ridge that came out on Netflix a couple weeks ago that I thought was maybe not the most geeky thing, but kind of in my geek wheelhouse of martial arts, action cinema.
Okay, I'm excited because I pay way too much for Netflix, but that's another topic. I don't understand why I'm paying almost $20 a month now.
No one does.
But I don't get it. But I'm excited because I never watch TV while driving. I would never, ever. Okay, I do. So if I'll have them playing in the background while I sit in the morning Charleston, South Carolina traffic. In case you guys are wondering, I am not the problem. I'm very safe. I'm going to be talking about Fairy Tale, and as well as another anime, Berserk Gluttony, I think is what it's called. I am now second guessing myself. But before we go into our super deep topic, I just want to know, Andy, well, I guess you said you just kind of found it on Netflix. So neither show or movie has like any kind of sentimental value for you. You just found what was new to chit chat about.
Well, I mean, Agatha All Along is the latest Marvel Cinematic Universe show.
Oh, you said that.
I was a big fan of WandaVision. I think that's one of the best things that Marvel's done post Endgame. And so even though, this sort of supernatural witches kind of stuff that Agatha All Along is doubling down on is not my thing generally. I wanted to see where they were continuing the story. And, Catherine Hahn was great in WandaVision and has been great in a lot of things. So, happy to see what she's up to, along with new cast member Aubrey Plaza is always interesting. So yeah, I was kind of anticipating for a while. The Penguin. I like Batman. I thought the Batman movie was decent, and so I was curious what they were going to do next with that. But yeah, Rebel Ridge was just something that kind of popped up, like most things on Netflix do, just sort of popped up out of nowhere without much fanfare. But heard a lot of good things about it. So
the amount of movies I've watched because TikTok just gave me a little fanfare clip, though, is ridiculous. So as we go into the meat of our discussion, the Marvel movie you talked about, so is that a sequel to WandaVision, or it just shares one of the characters?
That's a good question. It kind of both, right? Because
I watched WandaVision, and I don't really watch Marvel like that.
Yeah, it is. It is definitely a sequel in the sense that it is following up on the events of WandaVision and following up on the finale of WandaVision, where Agatha Harkness was left, mesmerized, trapped in a fake world of Wanda's creation as her punishment, and as a place to park her for until she was ready for the next thing. But it's not necessarily a thematic sequel. And so, there's it doesn't pick up on the sitcom structure that WandaVision had. And so it depends on what you liked about WandaVision. It may or may not feel like a sequel, right? If that sitcom pastiche, or, if the characters of Wanda and Vision were the main things that brought you to WandaVision, then there's probably not a lot here for you.
Okay, so see, that's good. This is why we need this episode, because other people might be like me, and I would have gone to watch it and been very sad.
Yeah, but if you were curious about sort of the magical side of Marvel in general, that Doctor Strange, Scarlet Witch, all the stuff that they've done with that, and just sort of curious in general how they're developing that part of the Marvel universe, then this is the next development in that, and they're really kind of digging deep into how does magic work, and what's the difference between a witch and something else, and what are the rules of magic, and all of those kinds of things. So if that part of WandaVision was of interest to you, or if that part of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness was of interest to you, then this might be a worthy sequel. We'll see. There's only 2 episodes out. Next one comes out in a couple hours. So
see, I was literally about to ask you, how did it end? This is why I tell Josh I don't like what's new, because I'm like, can I binge it? Like, I already want to know. Like, I already want spoilers. How it ends? Is it worth watching? But we're only 2 episodes in.
Yeah, Halloween Day. If you want to just binge it, we will know by then. The last episodes come out the 30th of October. So
see, that's good for me to know.
Because that could be a Halloween treat for somebody.
It really can. Because I'm watching Fairy Tail right now, and so those who's watched my past anime episodes, I'm pretty much a one flavor type of girly. I love anime, I love romance. I'll dabble in the other stuff if I don't have to, but I have waited years for Fairy Tail 100-year quest, like years. Like my little high school self fell in love with Natsu, and so I just I need him. It's okay. That sounded weird. I'm very much in love with my 3D husband, but I just need him to end up with Lucy. And so even though the creator of Fairy Tail, he already said Lucy and Natsu are supposed to end up together, because the creator got sick. I can't think of his name. So we weren't sure if we were ever going to get a proper ending. So he threw us a bone, and he pretty much told us, yes, Lucy and Natsu are going to end up together. So my heart is happy, because it needed to happen. Not Nalu forever. If anyone likes Natsu and Lisana, just turn off this podcast right now. You don't belong here. I'm just kidding. I love you. But so I was so excited for 100-year quest, but it's starting off so slow, and I'm so sad about that. They are going on to. Are you familiar with Fairy Tail at all?
Not even a little bit. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Feel free to zone out while I self monologue how it's going. I give you permission. So listeners, if you are thinking about watching 100-Year Quest, number 1, do it, because you're not a true fan if you don't. Okay, so there's no reason watching all those episodes of Fairy Tale and not watch 100-Year Quest. So if you guys are familiar with when Gildarts went to a mission, he came back and he lost his leg, he lost his gut. He the strongest person in the guild failed a mission, and this was the 100-Year Quest. Now Lucy, Natsu, and the gang, they took on the quest and they want to go to another section of the world, and they have to seal these 4 dragon gods. So it took all their power in the last season of Fairy Tale to just take down 1 dragon. Now they got to take down 4 dragon gods. And as we just discovered, there's this white mage in the mix that is just destroying everything. And she actually brainwashed all of Fairy Tale. So now Natsu and the gang, they're just trying to fight that. So it's your typical fantasy adventure anime where you have a guild, you have superpowers, well, it's magic powers, and you take on quests, you beat the bad guy, you do guildy stuff. But guys, I will tell you, if you were wondering, there is progression in the romance department. I know, we all wanted this. So if you don't know, now you know. I'm going to do some spoilers. But Gajio and Levy, y'all, they have a baby on the way. Yes, we're all excited. We can't wait to see it. And Gray is finally admitting his feelings for Juvia. I know. We are here for the romance. We are eating it up. But Lucy and Natsu, they're still in the friend zone. So we're waiting. And that's the only reason why I can keep up with 100-Year Quest day to day, because I need the romance, and I don't know if it's going to happen, but yeah, there you go. Andy, you don't look like a romance type of guy to me.
I'm not opposed to a good romance story. I just, this particular part of the world has passed me by so far.
That's okay. That's fine. But yeah, it's always good when you're high school. So just think of little high school girls shipping these characters. And now my adult 32-year-old self is seeing them get together. I'm a happy little anime schoolgirl all over again.
Sure. Makes sense.
Yeah. And everyone's like, all right, we're done. We're done with Fairy Tale. Some people hate on it though. TJ, he hates Fairy Tale. I don't get it. Don't get it whatsoever.
There's no accounting for taste.
Yeah, I should have went longer on that. I probably this is going to be a short What's New episode, listeners, so you're welcome. So Andy, going back to you, with the movie, tell me, see, this is why I like movies, because I can already find out the ending to see if I want to watch it. I know the beginning, ending, middle, everything. Movies are the best, but they're too short sometimes. So tell me about this movie. What's the plot? What enamored you?
Right. So Rebel Ridge is the story of a young man who is biking into a small town in, I forget if it's Alabama or Mississippi. They're kind of on the borders there. They're moving around a little bit. So, but somewhere in that part of the world, his cousin is in jail and needs bail money. And so this guy has sold his truck and come down to post bail for his cousin to get him out of jail. And there's a time, a ticking clock, because the jail in this town is being bulldozed to be rebuilt, and so they're relocating all the people in the jail to another facility, and he wants to get him out. He wants to get him out on bail before that happens. Unfortunately, on his way into town, he is stopped by the police. It's not really clear why, but they pull him over on his bike, and things kind of escalate from there. They search him, they find all this cash, and that, of course, looks suspicious. He's I suppose I should have mentioned that he's a black man, which
I was going to
kind
ask.
Of irrelevant. Yeah, so he's pulled over by a couple of white police officers as a
Classic.
black man. The insinuation or the implication is that he's guilty of biking while black or something along those lines. And so, they find that he's carrying a lot of cash. They think that that's suspicious, and they seize that cash under rules that, basically if they think it's involved in a drug transaction, they have the right to seize it. I don't claim to be a lawyer to know all the legal details, although the movie does kind of go into some detail about the legal machinations and what has made this possible. But I don't know how much of it is accurate or not. It feels like it wants to be accurate to contemporary policing and law enforcement. So now he can't get his can't post bail because he doesn't have any of the cash, and he tries to go through the appropriate channels to get this money back, to say, look, it's legitimate. I have receipts for having sold my truck and all this. Like, it's not drug money. Trying to handle things the proper way, and they kind of stymie him at every turn, and so he gets increasingly desperate and tries increasingly desperate things to resolve the situation. He is helped by a court clerk played by Anna Sophia Robb, who kind of does that thing of, I couldn't tell you, from The Incredibles, right? I can't tell you to go to the third floor and file Form 27Q because I'm not allowed to tell you that. But
those are the heroes of movies. They are the heroes.
So she kind of has that kind of role. And then Don Johnson plays the police chief, who's the kind of mustache twirly corrupt cop. And so those are the kind of the main three characters of the story. And it turns out that this guy. So what the cops find out about a third to halfway through the movie is that this guy isn't just any random person biking through town. He is a Navy martial arts instructor, or an Army martial arts instructor. And so he knows a thing or two about handling himself in physical confrontations. And so he, as you might expect, he eventually puts those skills to use in getting satisfaction for his situation. And how that plays out, and who's guilty of what, and so forth, I will leave to the viewer to experience for themselves. But one thing that I did appreciate about it, so it is, on the one hand, it is trying to get into contemporary issues and the contemporary complications of policing and how the police can arrange things to their favor, even when somebody is not guilty of anything, as this person is. But the other thing that I liked about it is, even though it's kind of like an action revenge movie, and this guy is a martial arts expert, there's a big emphasis on non-lethal methods, and not trying to do the minimum amount of harm, right? So it's not one of these things where he just gets some guns and just starts shooting everybody until there's nobody left to oppose him. He is, and partly because he recognizes, right, that if he starts killing cops, that really is not going to make the situation any better. He's really trying to resolve this in a way that everybody gets to walk away from the situation, because he does. His whole goal is to keep his cousin from winding up in this state jail facility. So getting more people in jail or in prison doesn't help anything. So he's really trying to think through how to resolve this without getting in jail himself or further complicating things without anybody's life, and all of that. So I appreciated that it had some values in mind, right? It's not just, okay, let's see what kind of cool action sequences we can put together. Even though there are some cool action sequences in the film, it's also interested in the consequences of those action sequences. So I thought it was really well done. The main actor, Aaron Pierre, seems like one to watch in terms of screen presence, and both being able to have action, but also acting, and could very well be the lead of any number of different sorts of films. And so I thought it was a worthwhile watch.
Did the movie really kind of shown just the corruption of what we see it every day almost in either some kind of social media or TikTok of just kind of the police showing off their power? You know what I mean? You hate to see it, but it happens all the time.
It definitely gets into the issues of who has power and how do they use that power. But it also I think it does a good job of showing that not all of the cops are equally guilty or equally
biased,
corrupt and biased. Yeah, there's a whole kind of range of folks, and you get to understand different people's priorities and how they came to be in the situation. That some of this is about the incentive structures that have been created, rather than that individual people are evil and only want to cause harm. Right? It's a lot about we've created a system of rules, possibly with good intentions, but those rules have unintended consequences that create incentives that lead to negative outcomes. And so we need to address things both at the level of some people just are bad intentioned, and Don Johnson's character definitely comes across as more somebody who just does not have good intentions. And maybe that's just because he's been involved the longest in these kinds of situations, but maybe just sort of the kind of person that he is. But there's also a need to fix the systems and the policies that create these incentives that don't point in that don't lead to the outcomes that we want.
I love social media, but I hate it at the same times because
as everyone does.
With working at the church, and I see it with pastors and police officers. So many people are so quick to post the bad or the failings or anything they did wrong, because everyone makes mistakes, or maybe if they were having a bad day and they misspoke, and sometimes they're complete turds, but everyone is so quick to post on social media. And I get asked often by people, it's like, well, why is there so many pastors having moral failures, or why are so many police brutality happen? And I do think it increased, but I think the presence of social media makes us more aware of all the bad, because the bad sells, the bad gets highlighted. So when you were saying there was still showing the good cops and the just people, I like that it showed both sides, because so many people are so quick just to show the bad and to share the fallings, and you don't see enough good in the world. I saw a social media post where someone returned a wallet and it was in a Facebook page, and someone was like, you don't see that good stuff anymore. And I'm like, well, I think good things happen all the time. We look for the bad and elevate the bad more than we do the good. So I might watch it. I might not. We'll see. But I liked hearing you talk about it.
All right. Fair enough.
Yeah, I enjoy crime movies too. So I like justice system. I like it when the little guy wins.
Mm-hmm.
And which is a great segue to why I like this anime, even though it's not heavy romance. See, I do. If I can ship a couple, I like it. So even Attack on Titans, I got to ship some couples. So it was still, even though there was no romance. But we're not talking about Attack on Titans. We're talking about a more current anime. It's called Berserk Gluttony. So once again, I guess I'm just really the magic vibes right now. It's a world where everyone is born with a skill, and it's almost this one's almost like a video game world, not a guild and magical. So this guy has a useless skill, and it's gluttony. And so someone might have the skill of sword, or the skill of healing, or the skill, just a random power, but they call them skills. And he has the skill of gluttony. And it starts off with him guarding something, or standing watch, doing the holy knights is what they're called, dirty work. And kind of just what you were saying, it's the holy knights who are supposed to be the protector. They have the best skills, and because of that, they automatically got elevated. And so they think they're better than everyone else. And they treat the guy with the gluttony skill like trash. And I don't like it. And so this guy, he's always hungry. He doesn't have a good skill, so he doesn't really make a lot of money, and he gets treated like dirt. But there is one holy knight that everyone hates because she is pure and she is just and she is lovely. Her name is Roxy. And so she looks out for him, and she'll defend him. And so he's smitten with her. And I'm like, she's a little protective of him. So maybe down the road, I don't know the ending, so I don't like it. If they might not end up together, it might be no romance, but we're hoping. So she looks out for him, and so he's useless. And so he's doing the other holy knight's dirty work, which is just standing watch. And it's the classic, why am I standing watch? Nothing happens. Nothing bad is going to happen. And so then robbers are running away from Roxy because she's doing patrol or something like that. And one is going straight to him through the gate. Well, he has a spear, and he can't let Roxy down. And so he kind of accidentally kills one of these robbers. This is first episode, so we love a good, killing in the very first episode. And so when he killed that robber, all of a sudden he was now able to have telepathy, so he can now hear people's thoughts if he touches them, and he doesn't know where this came from. And so what we discover is his skill, his useless skill, gluttony. Every time he kills someone or something, because he's a glutton, absorbs their power. Dun dun dun. So we love a good twist. And so he was going to upgrade his sword, and now because he has his telepathy skill, he finds a sword, and I forgot the special sword's name, but pretty much it's a magic sword who can talk. But because he has telepathy, now this magic sword who knows his skill and how he can best hone it is helping him out. And so he's pretty much wearing a mask, getting stronger at night by killing goblins, because that's really the only thing around that is to kill, just for him to get stronger, because he can cut off the goblin ear and get some like coins and stuff like that. So now he's finally making a living, and he's finding out he's no longer hungry, because this whole time he couldn't satisfy his hunger because he had a desire to like kill pretty much. But now that he has a taste for blood, home dude can't stop killing. Classic, right?
Yeah, you hate to see it.
Yeah, you hate to see it. But so far he has kept his purity and sanity and his humility. So we're hoping that stays. So he'll like go to like vast regions and kill like more advanced beasts, more advanced this and stuff like that. And so even though he did at the beginning, kill a human, like he didn't like intentionally kill any humans. And so he just in this past episode had to intentionally kill a human because they were possessed by a chimera. And so there was no saving her. Like she was gone. So we're interested to see how this is going to affect his mental state going forward. Mm-hmm. And no one knows, like they just know him as like the masked man. Everyone still thinks he's a weakling and he's scum of the earth, but we'll see how this goes. I think he's going to turn evil, and it's going to be sad, and Roxy's going to find out, and she's going to be so appalled by him, and they're not going to fall in love, but we're hoping. Yeah.
Wow.
I know. Like anime is wild.
It is. Now, you said something, and I was a bit confused. You said that he can cut off goblin ears and get coins. Is he like? Oh,
like you sell them for gold.
Okay.
Yeah, because goblin ears are like
video
worth
game
something.
Thing. Like,
but
they
it's
drop
like,
coins when you.
Yeah, well, it's portrayed like a video game. Like goblins will drop items, and they can even like if they have insight or analyze skill that they can see other people's stats and stuff. So so when people check his. Yeah, it's
like
I
D&D
wish I was
role-playing game kind of.
Yeah, honestly, like if I had a choice, I wish my life was like a sword playing game. I would just kill goblins all day long. I would just farm, I would just farm and get strong and be rich. I think about this often.
I guess so.
Instead, I just sit in traffic and go to my office job.
Yeah,
it's fine.
I fairly certain that I would be useless in a sword and sandal fantasy world, and I am best left to the commute and computer world.
No, not me. But at least my job, I get to talk to people all the time, so it's not that bad. So I like my work, but it is what it is. But yeah, that's me. We were supposed to, listeners, if you're watching live, we were supposed to have 2 other people. So this What's New episode is going to be a little bit shorter because they had family stuff that they had to take care of. One person is prepping for the hurricane coming up because the storm is coming. Where do you live, Andy?
I live in Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay. Well, you are not affected by the storm whatsoever.
Nope, thankfully.
South Carolina, though, we're hunkering down.
Mm-hmm.
So we making sure I did not miss anything. We are about to wrap up this episode. We would love to know what you are listening to, what you would recommend us talk about next time. And so once again, please rate and review this show on the Spotify, Apple Podcast, Podchaser, whichever podcast platform that you fancy. Me personally, I'm a Spotify girly, so make sure all my other Spotify people, we got to band together. We got to show them up. We have to have more ratings. Destroy other podcast platforms. I'm just a little I'm not okay. I don't know why I'm the way I am. But thank you again. If you like this episode and you don't want to know what's new anymore, make sure you check out our past What's New episode. Well, so I guess, they can be what's old. But if you just like hearing us talk about, maybe we talk about something that you might have forgotten it was new. There's nothing more fun than knowing something was new. This is my bread and butter. Forgetting it's new. And then in 3 months, you can watch it all in one setting. So make sure you check out this past episodes if you enjoyed it. Thank you so much again. And remember, we are all a chosen people, a geekdom, a priest. Bye-bye.
So long.
Go watch anime.
Be sure to check out other Anazal Ministry Podcast AMP Network shows. You can see the whole network in a single feed if you're on Spotify, or you could go to Apple Podcasts and find the Anazal Ministries Network podcast, the AMP Network. Yeah, there's just a network on Apple. You can follow the whole thing. You'll get shows like The Homily, where Pastor Will goes through his homily messages. It's literally just Pastor Will's sermons, guys. It's great. You also get access to the Whole Church podcast, where TJ and myself interview leaders from across different denominations and backgrounds to work towards a more full church unity. You can see My Seminary Life, where Brandon Knight discusses his experiences at seminary and then discusses seminary topics, so anyone can have access to knowledge available to seminary students. You also can see Let Nothing Move You over there, where Christian Ashley goes through the Bible in a Bible study type fashion and explains the whole biblical narrative. I also have a show on there, The Dummy for Theology, where we discuss various theological topics in an attempt to show every side of the discussions, leaving you with more questions than answers. There's also The Bible After Hours, where the foul-mouthed preacher goes through the Bible from a more progressive view to challenge the status quo of the modern church. Finally, you can hear The Clydes, where Taylor and Elizabeth Clyde go through weekly discussions in a devotional conversational style method to help us all get closer to one another and to God.